The bridge of the royal flagship fell silent the moment Queen Lyra entered. No announcement was necessary. No one spoke. No one even dared to glance directly at her. Lyra walked between rows of officers with measured steps. The silver fabric of her royal uniform moved behind her like flowing liquid metal. Her long ears, a distinctive trait of the Valeri race, rose slightly as she listened to dozens of reports being transmitted through the command network. 3 border worlds had submitted their tribute, 2 pirate fleets had surrendered, 1 governor had attempted to hide tax revenues. The governor was no longer a governor. Normal morning. At least that was what passed for normal when one ruled 12,000 star systems. Status of the anomaly. The officer nearest the tactical display straightened immediately. We have arrived at the designated coordinates, Your Majesty. A vast projection appeared above the bridge. Even the experienced officers stared uneasily. Space itself appeared wounded. A swirling fracture stretched across millions of kilometers, glowing with strange blue and crimson light. Streams of energy twisted around it like living serpents. Lyra studied it quietly. Scientific assessment. A nervous scientist cleared his throat. We are uncertain. Lyra looked at him. The scientist visibly regretted existing. You are uncertain? Yes, Your Majesty. You have had 3 months to study it. That is correct. And your conclusion is that you are uncertain. The scientist swallowed. Very uncertain. Several officers tried not to smile. Lyra simply turned back toward the projection. Scientists. An entire profession somehow built around not knowing things. Send probe group 7. The order was obeyed instantly. Hundreds of autonomous probes detached from nearby vessels and accelerated toward the anomaly. The bridge watched. Seconds passed. Nothing happened. More seconds. Still nothing. The lead scientist relaxed slightly. Perhaps it is stable. One of the probes vanished. No explosion, no warning, simply gone. Then another disappeared. Then 10, then 50. The bridge erupted with alarms. The scientist immediately stopped, looking relaxed. I withdraw my previous statement. A massive energy surge burst from the center of the anomaly. The tactical display distorted. Sensors screamed. Entire monitoring systems shut down. Lyra narrowed her eyes. Something was moving inside the fracture, something enormous. The shape was difficult to define. It seemed to exist partly outside normal space. Every sensor interpreted it differently. Some identified it as a biological life form. Others classified it as a star. One system simply displayed the words, "Please do not approach." Interesting. The chief admiral looked uncomfortable. Your Majesty, I do not believe that message came from our systems. For the first time, silence settled over the bridge. That was impossible. The fleet's computers could not generate spontaneous warnings. The anomaly pulsed again, then every screen aboard the flagship turned black. A single symbol appeared. No one recognized it. Yet somehow everyone understood its meaning. Danger, pure, primal danger. Then the screens returned to normal. The bridge exploded into frantic activity. Energy levels increasing, spatial distortions expanding. Something is emerging. Lyra remained calm. She always remained calm. It was one reason half the galaxy feared her. The other reason was the enormous military fleet surrounding her. Prepare defensive formation. Orders spread instantly. Thousands of warships repositioned. Weapons powered up. Shield generators activated. The anomaly expanded, and then it emerged. Several officers forgot to breathe. The thing dwarfed entire capital ships. Its body resembled flowing darkness wrapped around fragments of burning stars. Massive streams of energy moved beneath its surface like rivers. Where eyes should have existed, miniature suns burned. The creature opened its mouth. A nearby cruiser disappeared, gone, not destroyed, not damaged, gone as though reality itself had erased it. The bridge shook violently. Report, 3 ships lost, 5, 9. The numbers climbed rapidly. For the first time in centuries, members of the royal fleet felt genuine fear. The creature moved again. Entire squadrons vanished. Weapons fire struck it from every direction. The attacks accomplished absolutely nothing. One officer whispered a prayer. Another quietly updated his will. A third attempted to transfer ownership of his pet reptile to his sister. Lyra noticed. You are preparing legal documents during combat? The officer froze. Your Majesty, his name is Pickles. Who, my reptile? Lyra stared at him. The officer immediately wished to be consumed by the anomaly. Fortunately for him, the anomaly seemed busy consuming starships. Focus on surviving. Yes, Your Majesty? The battle deteriorated rapidly, fleet formations collapsed. Communication channels overloaded. The creature tore through warships as though they were made of paper. Then alarms erupted throughout the flagship. A direct energy surge struck the vessel. The bridge plunged into darkness. Emergency lighting activated. Systems failed one after another. Damage report. Severe, very severe, exceptionally severe, Lyra frowned. Military personnel always became strangely creative when describing disasters. The ship lurched violently. Explosions echoed through distant corridors. The artificial intelligence controlling internal systems spoke calmly. Attention. The probability of catastrophic destruction has increased to 87%. A pause. Correction, 91%. Another pause, 94%. Someone shouted, "Could you stop updating us?" Negative. The AI sounded almost cheerful. The flagship shook again. A section of the bridge ceiling collapsed. Several officers narrowly avoided being crushed. The chief admiral approached Lyra. "Your Majesty, we must evacuate." "No." "Respectfully, yes." Lyra turned toward him. The admiral instantly remembered why she ruled an empire. "We are not abandoning the fleet." Another impact struck. The ship groaned. Warning sirens howled. The AI spoke again. 97%. Nobody asked. "I am attempting to be helpful." "You are failing." Noted. Then a violent explosion ripped through the vessel. The floor vanished beneath Lyra. For one brief moment she was falling. Metal twisted around her, fire erupted, gravity fluctuated wildly, the world became chaos. When everything stopped moving, silence followed. Lyra opened her eyes, darkness surrounded her, pain shot through her shoulder. Part of the structure had collapsed around her. She attempted to move. Nothing. Several massive support beams pinned her in place. Her communicator was destroyed. No signals, no guards, no soldiers, only distant explosions. The flagship was dying. For the first time in a very long time, Lyra found herself completely alone. Minutes passed. Then she heard something, metal scraping, voices, a transmission. "Terrible idea." Another voice replied, "Absolutely terrible." Then someone shouted, "Open the door." "There is no door." "Then why am I trying to open one?" Lyra blinked. What? More noises followed. Something crashed. An alarm activated. A different alarm activated. Then several alarms activated together. Finally, a loud metallic bang echoed through the ruined compartment. A maintenance drone smashed through a damaged wall and landed upside down. Silence followed. Then a male voice spoke through the drone. "Good news," another voice answered. "There is no good news. I found the Queen." Lyra stared at the overturned machine. The drone's camera rotated toward her. A pause followed. "Oh, another pause. You actually are the Queen." "What exactly were you expecting?" Lyra asked coldly. The voice nearly jumped out of the speaker. "You can talk." Lyra slowly closed her eyes. Somewhere beyond the damaged walls, an ancient cosmic horror was destroying a fleet. And somehow the first person to find her appeared to be an idiot. The voice returned. "Sorry, that sounded better in my head." "Who are you?" "Ethan Carter." "Military?" "No." "Royal Guard?" "No." "Special Operations?" "No." Lyra frowned. "What are you?" There was a brief hesitation. "Maintenance engineer." The Queen stared silently into the darkness. A maintenance engineer, of course. Naturally, because apparently the universe had developed a sense of humor. Lyra continued staring at the overturned maintenance drone. Ethan continued staring back through the drone's camera. Several seconds passed. "You're unusually calm," Ethan finally said. "My flagship is being destroyed." "Good point." "The fleet is collapsing." "Also true. A cosmic entity larger than a city is erasing warships from existence. Definitely not ideal." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "And you are speaking as though we are discussing weather conditions." "That's how humans cope with terrifying situations. You make jokes, we either make jokes or panic. And the jokes help." "No, then why?" Ethan paused. "Nobody knows." The Queen found herself strangely irritated by the answer. Somewhere nearby, another explosion shook the damaged section. Pieces of metal crashed from the ceiling. The maintenance drone abruptly rolled onto its side. Ouch, you felt that. No, but the drone sounded unhappy. Lyra decided humanity was a deeply confusing species. Can you free me or not? Working on it. A moment later, sparks erupted from the drone, not successfully. The Queen closed her eyes. Of all possible rescuers in the galaxy, fate had chosen this one. Do you possess actual rescue equipment? Technically, some of it exploded. How much? Most. Lyra slowly inhaled. For centuries, she had negotiated wars, crushed rebellions, and ruled an empire. Yet somehow this conversation was testing her patience more than any of them. A new voice suddenly appeared over Ethan's communicator. Ethan, report. Oh, hi, Captain. Why are there 17 security alerts connected to your location? I can explain. Can you? No, the captain sighed. Did you find Her Majesty? Yes. A pause followed. You actually found her? Yes. Another pause. How? I crashed through a wall. The captain remained silent. Captain, I'm deciding whether I want the answer. Lyra almost felt sympathy for the man, almost. Listen, Ethan continued. The Queen is trapped. The section is unstable. If we don't move quickly, she's going to be crushed when the ship breaks apart. The captain's tone immediately became serious. Understood, rescue team is 20 minutes away. Ethan looked at the damaged structure around Lyra. She doesn't have 20 minutes. Neither of them said what they were thinking. The flagship was dying faster than anyone wanted to admit. The connection ended. For a moment, silence returned. Then Ethan spoke. Okay, the drone suddenly stood upright. New plan. What plan? I improvise. That does not sound reassuring. It shouldn't. The drone rolled away, more crashes echoed through the corridor, metal screamed, tools clattered. Several minutes later, Ethan himself finally appeared. Lyra immediately recognized him as human, dark hair, protective engineering suit, a face covered in grease, and an expression suggesting that he had absolutely no business being inside a royal flagship during a military disaster. He stopped when he saw her. Oh, you already said that. Sorry, Ethan looked genuinely embarrassed. I just expected you to be taller. The silence that followed was dangerous, very dangerous. Most people spent their entire lives avoiding comments like that. Did you just insult the Queen? No, you did. I was making an observation. An observation that may become your last. Ethan looked around. To be fair, lots of things may become my last today. Against her will, Lyra almost smiled. Almost. The human approached the collapsed beams. His scanner activated. Numbers flashed across his visor. His expression changed. That's not good. What? These support structures weigh about 80 tons. I assumed as much. I have equipment rated for 10. Then your equipment is inadequate. Extremely. Another explosion echoed somewhere below them. The floor trembled. Ethan examined the wreckage again, then his eyes brightened. Humans worried Lyra whenever they brightened during disasters. What are you thinking? I have an idea. Is it a good idea? No, then do not do it. Unfortunately, it's the only one. Without waiting for approval, Ethan began unpacking equipment. Small gravity anchors, portable fusion batteries, a damaged plasma cutter, and something that looked suspiciously homemade. Lyra pointed toward it. What is that? The human hesitated. A tool. It appears to be held together with tape. It is held together with tape. Why, the tape improves reliability. The Queen stared at him. The tape improves reliability. Exactly. No, it really does. No civilized society would allow this. Humanity does. Why, again, nobody knows. Several minutes later, Ethan connected cables between the devices. The improvised machine hummed, then vibrated, then began smoking. That seems concerning. It always does that. It always catches fire, not always. The machine exploded, a small explosion, but still an explosion. Lyra simply looked at him. Ethan looked at the machine. Okay, new plan. Was that not your new plan? It was. And it exploded. Correct. An unfortunate flaw. He laughed. The Queen did not. Another violent tremor ran through the ship. Warning lights activated across the compartment. A computerized voice echoed through nearby corridors. Emergency alert, structural integrity failure in progress. Ethan's smile disappeared. This time he moved faster. He connected fresh power cells. reconfigured the gravity anchors, adjusted several field generators. The equipment began humming again, different this time, stronger. The collapsed beams shuddered. Lyra felt pressure easing from her body. The supports were moving, slowly, but they were moving. Her eyes widened slightly. The human was actually succeeding. Ethan grinned. See? The beam lifted another few centimeters, then another, then everything went wrong. The gravity field overloaded. The beam launched upward. The opposite beam launched sideways. A third beam spun through the air. Ethan screamed. Lyra ducked. The entire compartment became a storm of floating metal. For several seconds, gravity seemed unable to decide which direction existed. Then everything crashed back down. Silence followed. Ethan lay flat on the floor. A wrench landed on his helmet. Ow! Lyra stared at the destruction. You nearly killed us. In my defense, I was trying very hard not to. Inadequate defense. The human sat up. Fair. Despite the disaster, one thing had changed. Several beams had moved enough to free her legs. Progress. Accidental progress, but progress nonetheless. Ethan noticed. See, it worked. It did not. It partially worked. By causing an explosion. A partial explosion. The Queen sighed. Somehow this was becoming normal. The next hour passed in relentless effort. Piece by piece, Ethan cleared debris, sometimes using tools, sometimes using gravity fields, sometimes simply hitting things until they moved. Lyra was horrified by how often the third method succeeded. Finally, the last support beam shifted. Freedom. For the first time since the collapse, Lyra stood. Pain shot through her shoulder. She ignored it. Queens did not complain. At least not publicly. Ethan immediately stumbled backward. Oh good. What? You're actually terrifying when standing. The Queen folded her arms. You continue speaking. It seems to happen automatically. Before Lyra could answer, the ship violently lurched, far worse than before. Both of them nearly lost balance. Every light in the compartment turned red. Then the AI spoke. Its calm voice sounded unusually strained. Critical alert. Neither of them liked those words. The unidentified life form has breached the central defense perimeter. Ethan swallowed. That's bad. Yes. Very bad. Yes. A pause followed, then the AI continued. Estimated survival probability for all remaining vessels, 6%. Silence. Even Ethan stopped joking. 6%. An Empire's fleet. Thousands of ships reduced to 6%. The magnitude of the disaster finally settled over them. Then another message arrived. This one from the flagship's surviving command network. The face of Admiral Saris appeared. Relief flooded his expression. Your Majesty, report. The creature continues advancing. Our weapons are ineffective. Fleet status? The Admiral hesitated. That hesitation revealed everything. Too many dead, too many ships lost, too much destruction. Lyra's jaw tightened. Prepare evacuation procedures. The Admiral blinked. Your Majesty, that was an order. Yes, Your Majesty. The transmission ended. Ethan quietly watched her. For the first time since meeting her, he said nothing, no joke. No sarcastic comment, nothing. The Queen noticed. What? The human shrugged. You care? Lyra frowned. Of course I care. Most rulers don't. I am not most rulers. No. Ethan looked toward the distant flashes of battle visible through a breach in the hull. You're not. For a brief moment neither spoke. Then alarms erupted again. The AI returned. Its voice carried a level of urgency they had not heard before. Immediate warning. What now? Ethan groaned. The life form has altered trajectory. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Toward where? A holographic display appeared. The answer froze the room. Not toward the fleet. Not toward the border. Not toward any military target. The creature was heading directly toward the core worlds of the Valeri Empire. Toward thousands of inhabited systems. Toward trillions of civilians. Toward the heart of everything Lyra had spent centuries building. Ethan stared at the projection. The Queen stared at it too, and for the first time since the battle began, both understood the same terrifying truth. The fleet had never been the target. The fleet had merely been in the way. 3 weeks later, the war room of the temporary command station was louder than any battlefield, not because weapons were firing, because politicians were speaking. Lyra sat at the center of the chamber. For perhaps the first time in her life, she genuinely missed being attacked by a cosmic horror. At least the cosmic horror had not demanded 17 separate committees. We refuse to cooperate. You have no authority here. Your empire created this crisis. Our intelligence suggests otherwise. Your intelligence once identified a moon as a sandwich. That happened one time. Ethan leaned toward the queen. Can we feed them to the monster? No, just the loud ones. No, you're no fun. The human received a cold look. It no longer frightened him. That fact alone continued to surprise Lyra. The meeting continued for another hour. Arguments, accusations, threats. Eventually Lyra stood. Silence immediately filled the chamber. The effect was always satisfying. The creature has already consumed 37 inhabited systems. Nobody interrupted. Billions are dead. More silence. It does not care which species you belong to. The chamber remained still. It will destroy all of us. Several representatives looked away. They knew she was right. The creature was already approaching the central regions of the galaxy. Entire fleets had vanished attempting to stop it. Every known weapon had failed. Every strategy had failed. Every defense had failed. Ethan suddenly raised his hand. A politician frowned. Why is the maintenance engineer here? Ethan smiled. Excellent question. I was not complimenting you. I know. The human activated a holographic display. Ancient symbols appeared, star maps. Quantum equations, energy pathways. The room became quiet. The anomaly wasn't random. Nobody spoke. Ethan enlarged the projection. The creature is following a route. Lyra watched carefully. He had spent the last 3 weeks working alongside scientists from dozens of civilizations, sleeping very little, talking far too much, and somehow discovering things that entire research teams had missed. The route appeared clearly. The creature was moving toward the galactic core, toward a region nobody had successfully explored. One scientist stood. The ancient network. Ethan nodded. Murmurs spread through the room. Every civilization knew the legends. An impossible structure hidden near the galactic center. A machine older than recorded history. A machine no one had ever activated. Another scientist looked stunned. You think the creature is connected to it? I don't think. Ethan highlighted several symbols. I know. The room erupted. Lyra studied him. Months ago she would have dismissed a human engineer's theory without hesitation. Now she trusted him more than most admirals. That realization felt strange, yet undeniably true. The Alliance launched 2 days later. Thousands of ships entered the journey toward the galactic core. For the first time in history, ancient rivals traveled together, human vessels. Velari warships, merchant coalitions, machine civilizations, species that had spent centuries hating one another, united by necessity. The journey itself was dangerous. Quantum storms, gravity fractures. Regions where time behaved unpredictably. At one point, Ethan accidentally spent 6 hours arguing with a navigation AI that believed it was a philosopher. Define existence. No, why? Because we're trying to save the galaxy. That seems existential. Ethan, sorry, even Lyra laughed quietly. The sound surprised several officers. One nearly dropped a tablet. The rumor spread through the fleet within hours. The Queen had laughed voluntarily. 3 admirals lost betting pools immediately. At last they arrived. The galactic core burned around them, and there, hidden within impossible streams of energy, stood the ancient network. Nobody spoke. Thousands of enormous structures surrounded a sphere larger than planets. The machine stretched across millions of kilometers. Its surface pulsed with dormant power. Ancient, silent, waiting. Then the creature arrived. Every screen aboard every vessel flashed red. The cosmic predator emerged from distorted space, larger than before, stronger than before. Its eyes burned like collapsing stars. Entire fleets opened fire. The creature ignored them. Reality twisted around its body. Ships vanished. Explosions illuminated the darkness. The final battle had begun. Can the network be activated? Lyra asked. Scientists worked frantically. Data poured across displays. Minutes passed. Finally, a response came. Yes, relief swept through the command center. Then the scientist continued. But the activation sequence must be completed manually. Silence followed. Of course, it could never be easy. Distance? Lyra asked. Inside the central reactor? Risk? The scientist hesitated. 99.7% fatality rate. Ethan sighed. There's always a catch. Lyra already knew what came next. She could see it in his eyes. The human stepped forward. I'll do it. No, the answer came instantly. Every person in the room looked toward the queen. Ethan blinked. No, that wasn't a request. I know, someone has to go. Lyra stepped beside him. Then we go together. The room froze. Even Ethan looked shocked. Your Majesty, enough. Her voice carried the authority that had ruled an empire for centuries. If this is the end, I will face it myself. Nobody argued, not after that. Minutes later, they entered a small transport craft. Outside, the greatest battle in galactic history raged. Entire fleets fought desperately to buy time. The craft accelerated toward the center of the network, toward the reactor. Toward almost certain death, Ethan stared through the viewport. Nervous? No, you're lying. Yes. The human smiled. Me too. For several moments neither spoke. Then Lyra quietly asked a question. Why did you save me? Ethan looked surprised, back on the flagship. The human thought for a moment. Finally he shrugged. You needed help. That was all? Was there supposed to be more? The queen laughed softly, a genuine laugh. Perhaps the first truly genuine one in years. You are a very strange person. I hear that often. The transport entered the reactor. Blinding energy surrounded them. Ancient systems activated. Symbols illuminated the darkness. Then a voice echoed through the chamber. Not artificial, not organic, something older. Final evaluation initiated. Both froze. The voice continued. Species cooperation confirmed. Ancient structures awakened throughout the network. Massive energy streams surged toward the center. Ethan stared at the displays. Wait. His eyes widened. The realization struck instantly. The creature wasn't a weapon. The voice answered. Correct. Images appeared around them. Ancient civilizations, galaxies, history. The Guardian was created to test developing civilizations. Lyra watched in silence. Those who chose conquest failed. More images appeared. Countless extinct empires. The network activates only through cooperation. Everything suddenly made sense. The creature had never truly been hunting worlds. It had been forcing civilizations to unite. Every empire that tried standing alone had been destroyed. Only unity could succeed. The final command appeared. Activation authorized. Ethan looked at Lyra. Lyra looked at Ethan. Together they pressed the controls. The galaxy erupted with light. The ancient network awakened completely. Energy flooded across millions of kilometers. The creature stopped moving. Its burning eyes dimmed. The colossal body dissolved into streams of starlight. Then it vanished.